Well, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a knife review, but not... A lot of knife reviews are based around knives that you might want to go out and get. This is a collection update. In fact, this week, the three knives that I am reviewing for this week are knives that I got for me as part of my collection. Two Begg knives, the Glimpse 7.0, which will probably populate on Friday. This is happening on Monday. And then in the middle, I got one of these. This is the 0095 TS ZT. This video is sort of a, well, it's both a love letter and a complaint letter to ZT, so you might want to check that out on Wednesday. So what's this? I mean, that's why you're here, probably because of the picture stuff. This is a 7-year-old knife, something like that, 6 or 7 years old. This is a Begg design made by Riot. This is the Kwaiken. In fact, this is the Sun Tzu edition of the Kwaiken. As I said, it's made by Riot. I love these old Begg knives. I just do. And I love that companies like Riot, and well, in this case, were making his stuff for him. I wish that these companies were still making stuff like that. Riot has long been a company that I have said makes knives that I love, except theirs. So, like, they make this, which is one of my all-time favorites. I have some others, too. I don't particularly like Riot knives. They're great. I just don't like their in-house styling. But, God, the stuff they make for other people is so good. And this is one of those. Now, you can find these on the secondary market if you're interested. They are not inexpensive, right around 400 bucks, which isn't bad, considering they weren't that much cheaper than that when they came out. But enough of that. Let's take a look at what you get, or what you would have gotten if you'd been collecting knives, 6 or 7 years ago, right? First, it is S35VN, because that was the steel of the day. They're very proud of the IKBS ceramic bearings, and if this is made like the other ones I've had, they're actually loose bearings inside. Hang on. Sorry, I went and got a flashlight. Yeah. Sorry about that if I got you guys. I really can't see. Now, because they're IKBS, my experience with these is that they're probably loose bearings inside the race, which means my desire to take this knife apart is down to 0. I would if I had to. But 7, 8 years ago, that was cutting edge. It really was, right? It was new and it was very cool. The scales are titanium, and everything is milled and chamfered. This knife is so silly comfortable. It's got this really nice fuller right here, which, of course, when it's closed, you can't see because the blade closes fully down into the handle, which I really like. Right? It's got a really nice landing spot. Right? A really nice, opening spot here for your thumb to get into the lock bar. Landing spot. I'm tired. It's designed so that your fingers won't come forward if you were to prod something really hard, right? It's got these nice stops, right there to keep you from sliding forward. The pocket clip is all titanium with the ceramic ball to keep it in the pocket. And I know a lot of people don't love this. I do. So that's good. And I do want to point out with this pocket clip, look how much space there is, right? And it's really deep carry, right? It's got this big lanyard spot back here, but it doesn't interfere with anything. Excuse me, back here, it doesn't interfere with anything. And you got that much knife sticking out of your pocket. It's got a really nice backspacer, about a quarter of the knife back here. It sinks into the handle right back through here. It's just a really cool design. And look at the milling on this. We're gonna focus, or there we go. Look at the milling on that. It's just beautiful, right? The tolerances on this knife are fantastic. I mean, the space between the blade and the scales is excellent. I love Begg designs. I'm sorry that he had trouble with his family. Unfortunately, he is now off doing his own thing, and it's now just Begg Knives, which of course changes the tenor and the texture of buying knives from them. But you can still get these Steelcraft. I'm sorry, this is a Steelcraft knife. You can get these Steelcraft knives from time to time. They still do runs, but Todd Begg is not involved anymore. I don't know exactly what went on there. It's none of my business, but stuff happens. This is a beautifully stone-washed blade. It's very trailing point, right? It's actually taller at the tip than it is down here, right? So it's got this sort of trailing point blade, very sort of Persian. And as this is the Sun Tzu edition, I assume there's influence from that side of the world. The pocket clip is held on. These 3 screws that run through the back spacer here, and you can see them there. And then there's a 4th screw back here for the pocket clip, which is a little weird, but that's all right. This thing is big, and it is beautiful, and it is comfortable. And the action is so good. I wish stuff like this was still like readily available. Anyway, let's take a look at the specs, because I actually haven't done this myself yet. So you're coming up on 3 1/4 inches of cutting on just about 4 inches of S35 VN. The grip area from behind that flipper tab all the way back to here is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches. I mean, there's so much knife. The knife from tip to tail, all the way out at the end of this, is 9 1/4 inches. This is a big knife, and yet it's balanced. It's not super heavy. It's really nicely done. I mean, it really is. There's some milling on the inside of these titanium scales up towards the top, which I think is done really beautifully. Where's my flashlight? I don't know if that's going to show up for you guys, but there's milling in there on both sides. Even on the lock bar side, there's milling in the back. This is number 340, apparently. Well, that's cool. I think that's what that was. This is a gorgeous knife. Now, Jim Skelton has got a really nice review of this on his channel from a long time ago that you can go check out if you'd like. I love stuff like this, I mean, I love modern stuff, and I love, the stuff that that's out there now. Even the baby bender, I still love this thing. But there's something about this stuff. Going back 5, 6, 8 years, they weren't quite sure what the general market was going to want, so knives tended to be made a lot more about the style of the knife and the designer than they were about marketability, if that makes any sense. This is really an example of that. Let's do some size comparisons. I already told you, 9 1/4 inch knife, but like here it is against the PM2. Ha! PM2, for instance. You can see it's enormous compared to the PM2. Here it is against the Para 3. As you can see, it's just enormous compared to the Para 3. Here it is against a much more recent knife. This is the Grant Gripper. You can see it's considerably bigger than even the Grant Gripper. This is a full-size knife. By the way, I'm okay. I fumbled the PM2 here, but we're okay. Yeah, I love stuff like this. Recently, I had to have kind of a conversation with myself, if you would. As somebody who runs a YouTube channel, I find myself like chasing the newest, right? What's happening right now. And I mean, I get it. That's important for you guys. You want to see that. And I want to bring it to you, and I'll continue to do that. But I'm a knife collector. And my knife collection isn't about, I mean, it really isn't. It isn't about the newest stuff it's about this. It just is. It's about stuff like this. And there are production, these are production knives. The Steelcraft is a production knife. The Chavez here is a production knife. Even stuff like this, man, I love this thing. The Thick Boy from EMP EDC. None of these are a bug out for a reason, right? I love the bug out, don't get me wrong, but for my collection, I like interesting stuff. These definitely qualify. let's weigh it, just because I'm curious. I said it doesn't feel very heavy. For a 9 1/4 inch knife, I find myself wondering where it's going to fall out. So 5 ounces. That's a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, it's really well balanced. It really is. And again, 5 ounces for a 9 1/4 inch knife. Not too bad. That milling really helps. It's milled along. Look at that. Look at the way they milled that line. Both sides. Right? Weight reduction and style. It has a steel lock bar insert, and it looks like the detent ball is ceramic, which is cool. Man, Riot makes a nice knife. Now, is this your, sort of average everyday carry tool? No. I mean, that's what this is for, really. I mean, it is. But I'll tell you, this would do the job. And in a pinch, it would do more than that. It's almost hollow ground. Really thin behind the edge. Yep. I wish there was more stuff like this landing on the market today. I do. I know it's not the current hot trend. I mean, let's face it. The current hot trend is micarta with titanium bolsters, right? There's a lot of those happening. Stuff like this with intricately milled titanium, nice and big, interesting design. Well, that's what happens, right? Knife stuff tends to come and go. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep looking for stuff like this for me. And if you're interested, like I said, they are out there. There were a couple on eBay when my buddy brought this one over for the trading we did. He did mention that there were a couple on eBay. So they do pop up now and again. If you're interested, keep your eyes open, because your collection should be about what you want in a knife. And maybe what you want is 6, 8, 10 years old, right? And I think that's where we're going to wrap this up. This is the Begg Knives Steelcraft Kwaiken Sun Tzu Edition, which is really a mouthful. And as knives go, this is definitely a handful. This neutral handle is just fantastic, man. I hope you've appreciated this look at what is now, I mean, my God, coming up on what, 10 years old? It's 8 or 9 years old. It's a classic at this point. Maybe it's 7, but still. In the knife industry, the way things move, this thing is ancient. And I love it. And maybe you like it too. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this look at the Sun Tzu edition of the Steelcraft Kwaiken, let me know down in the comments. If you've hated this look at this knife, let me know down in the comments. I'm always open to criticism. I like to hear what people are thinking. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.